Man, you see what's going on in Washington, D.C. these days? That place is definitely a political swamp. You're starting to hear things coming out of Austin that just makes me wonder. If Texas gets its independence, how are we going to prevent the same thing from happening here? I mean, what's to keep us from getting electile dysfunction?
One of the main issues driving Texans to seek independence is how dysfunctional, and in some cases, downright dishonest, our legislature in Washington has become. A recent Pew Public Trust survey puts it pretty plainly. Public trust in the government remains near historic lows. Only 17% of Americans today say they can trust the government in Washington to do what is right just about always, 3%, or most of the time, 14%. A June 2019 University of Texas Tribune survey said about the same thing. Only 24% of Texans hold a favorable view of the federal government. However, sometimes things happen even in Austin that make us want to question if that's just the way it is in politics. While corruption in politics is something we always should be on the lookout for, there are several factors that weigh in favor of an independent Texas. Something that's not well known is that a majority of legislation in Texas is driven solely by the federal government. Surprised? In the last session alone, nearly half of all the bills filed in Texas directly referenced federal law, federal regulations, federal agencies, or federal court rulings. Even more were filed in response to federal bills to make Texas compliant with them. Many people think Texas gets a lot of financial assistance from the federal government. In reality, this is not the case. Texas sends a lot more to the federal government than we get in return, your hard-earned money. After the feds take out their 40% membership fee, they dangle enticements in front of the Texas legislature as a reward for their loyalty. Much of our state policy directions are unnecessarily set just to be in compliance with federal laws or mandates. Think of the additional expense this causes. As an independent Texas, we would be able to set our own direction and create policies that are a perfect fit for us. Also, all that money that's currently going to Washington would stay here to be used to improve the lives of Texans. It's a natural tendency for some to treat a state-elected office as a stepping stone to what they think are bigger and better things. A shot at federal politics. It's almost like they're contestants on a game show, just hoping to make it through to the next round. Often, the things they say and the policy decisions they make are influenced by how much of an audience they will get outside of Texas. They want wider exposure so they can get their 15 minutes of fame also outside of Texas. With an independent Texas, the elected offices here would be the ultimate goal. They would spend all their efforts on making sure the people of Texas are satisfied with the job they're doing.
What do you think about the job Congress is doing in Washington?
Most people have definite opinions on what the federal government is doing these days. Normally, it's disapproval over something, like how they're handling health care or taxes.
How about the property tax reform they were working on in the Texas legislature?
Texans are distracted. We are flooded with news out of Washington, D.C., so our attention is drawn away from smaller issues here at home. Those who stay engaged on state and local issues know this frustration. Low engagement by your fellow citizens makes it easy for elected officials to just brush off your issues because they're not hearing from that many Texans about them. This distraction plays out at the polls as well. With everyone focused on the federal government, even to the point of listing federal offices at the top of the ballot, little to no attention is paid to the down-ballot races. In addition, general dissatisfaction with the federal government leads to disillusioned voters who simply give up and don't vote. With an independent Texas, the distraction of a dysfunctional federal government is gone. Our government would now be the one closest to home, here in Texas. Imagine how people would feel about voting if they actually could make a difference and be involved. It's a hard truth, but it is true. Politics runs on money. You can hate it, you can deny it, but it's the way things work. As part of the United States, political contributions that flow into Texas from outside of Texas are treated just the same as contributions from Texans. Every special interest from the other 49 states starts writing checks to curry favor and get or keep their man in office. These contributions from outside of Texas give the big advantage to incumbents and a major disadvantage to those who would challenge the political establishment. When Texit happens, all that comes to a screeching halt. Donations from outside of Texas will be foreign, and Texas would never allow political contributions from foreign entities. There is no doubt that removing the federal government from the equation should produce better government at home. Independence gives us an opportunity to create a government that is responsive to our needs, meets our challenges, and is the size that we want. To get what we want, we're going to have to be willing to do what it takes to get there. Shouting into the social media echo chamber isn't going to cut it. Outrage on its own is not enough to win the day. Neither is inaction. The way to win is to break the status quo and show your representatives that you're onto them and need to support those who are willing to be accountable for their stance on Texas independence. We have to get out there and work together to shatter the hold of the old political class. Are you ready to get in the fight? Come join with the many like-minded folks at the Texas Nationalist Movement. More information is available online at thetnm.org.